Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, as promised, I'm going to do a detailed disassembly of the latest Thrustmaster wheel SF1000. Before I start, I just wanted to add a couple of comments. So first of all, this video is not going to be scripted, so yeah, I apologize up front if I'm talking too much or talking rubbish basically. And secondly, it's definitely going to be pretty long, so I will put timestamps in the description with regards to individual pieces that I'm looking into when I'm doing my disassembly. Alright, let's get to it. So first, let's start from the paddle shifters. So we have 4 screws on the back. Let's just take them out. Fine. Okay. Alright, so let's put the wheel to the side. So I already showed it in my previous video how the shifter works. So we have this single aluminium plate here, and then there's these two aluminium flaps that go up. So if I move it up, so here's the magnet, yeah, and here's like a dampening pad that hits on this plastic. Sorry, it's really hard to show. Yeah. So this plastic is preventing the top, this aluminium piece to go down when we pull on the lever. Also, we have the magnet, another magnet on the bottom, and there's also like some kind of like a dampening pad here. But looking at how loud the shifter is, it doesn't really do a very good job. Okay, let's take it further apart. Right, so that's done. So what do we have inside? Well, as you can see, we have two smaller PCBs that most probably hold switches on the other side, and then we have a very simple, sorry, the lighting is a bit too much. Then we have a very simple PCB with the like attached connectors that connect here. So these pins touch on these connectors here, and that's how the buttons send the signal. So one more thing we can notice here is that from the looks of it, this is a ferrite ring. So I guess it's just to prevent any interference on the buttons, which is quite interesting really. But okay, let's carry on. So I'll take out this one. Okay, so focus, yeah, and let's see what kind of switches do we have in here. So what is it? Sorry, because of the lighting, can't really see much detail. So I'll just take a couple of pictures and put them. Yeah, so I'll basically, because of the lighting, you can't really see it very well, but I'll take a couple of pictures to show more details. But basically, you see this is a like pretty standard switch. One thing you'll notice though is that it has like a silicone ring on it. Okay, so the next step is to take off the back cover from the wheel. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws in total. So let's get rid of them. Okay, so all the screws are out. So now let's gently take off the cover. Now we have to watch out because there is a cable here. Yeah, so you can see. So we have a cable here with the JST connectors from the looks of it. And this is connecting the clutch paddles to the main PCB of the wheel. So let's just unplug it. I'll do it on the body side. Yeah, so that went off pretty easily. While I'm at it, let's check what JST connector is it. From the looks of it, I think it's going to be 2mm. No, this one is actually 1.5mm. So this is, it looks like a standard JST 1.5mm. So yeah, very good news. In case you damage the cable, you can easily get a replacement from eBay. So now let's look a bit closer on the backplate. So here we have another small PCB with a couple of JST connectors. Again, these look the same, so these would be standard 1.5mm JST connectors, and this simply just takes the analog signal from the two paddles and connects it to the this is 2, 4, 6 pin cable here. Cool. So I mean, I won't be taking off the PCB because there's nothing underneath it, but what I will do is try to disassemble one of the clutch paddles and see how these work. So first of all, I'll unplug the JST cable. Yeah, that went easy. And then see on the back here we have one screw holding like a cover, and then we have 2 additional screws over here. So let's see what it will reveal when we take off all these screws and the plastic covers. Okay, that's loosen. Alright, so inside then seems to be, I think it's like just a tiny potentiometer, but I can't, there's no way to take it out right now. I still need to take off these 2 screws to take out the whole enclosure of the potentiometer. So right, so let's take off these 2 screws. So let's try to remove it now, and it goes out. Yeah, and just the, oopsie. Alright, so that's the cable. So what do we've got in here? First of all, you can see there's some sort of like a foam tape, probably so it sticks better into the this kind of like a, you see there's a groove inside, so that's what the pin of the potentiometer holds to. So I think they're using the tape so that it is the connection is more reliable. Right, that's not much to see here. Let's take out the potentiometer. Okay, so what is it? Can we see any branding here? No, not really. Yep, so I will probably take my multimeter later and check what are the resistances of this potentiometer. One thing to notice though, it goes, the range that is being used by the paddle shifter is very small, yeah, so it goes something just like so, yeah, from the top position to the push position, but this, it really can just keep on going. Whoa, actually there's quite a few rotations, so it would be interesting to see. Or maybe I'm just being stupid and this isn't a standard potentiometer, it's like a rotary encoder, for example. So I don't know, I have no idea. I'm not particularly good with electronics, so yeah, I'll check what it is later on. Cool. So we saw the potentiometer, so now let's see what's in this paddle. I wonder if it's going to be hard to take this one off. As we see, there's a spring inside that's holding the paddle. Yeah. Okay, I mean, what do we have to lose, right? So I'll just take this small screwdriver and try to push the rod through. Yeah. Will it get damaged or will it work? Okay, so the screw is already, the spring is already out. Here we have the rod, and here we have the paddle. So here is just molded plastic, nothing interesting, although there is some rubber padding on the other side. Actually, the clutch paddles are pretty quiet, so I guess it's working. Now let's take a closer look at the paddle itself. Yeah, like from the very beginning I said I don't really like them, and I still didn't change my mind. The thing is, maybe right now I'll just take a file and get rid of those sharp edges so I stop hurting my fingers. Yeah, nothing special to see here. Then we have the rod that's holding it. So just if you're interested, it is 3 millimeters by 23 millimeters. So that's it. And then we have a spring. So it has, will it zoom? Yeah, so it has like 2.5 rotations, and it is 1 millimeter in diameter, the wire. So it's pretty light. But I guess, okay, let's look at the, I don't want to, I'll make my caliper a bit dirty. So we have 4.5 millimeters inside. So I think that should give you maybe, yeah, let's take the outer dimension as well. Sorry, so this is 6.5 millimeters. So we have 4.5 in the middle of the loop. We have 6.5 on the outer, on the outside of the loop, and the wire is 1 millimeter thick. So if you were to replace the spring, because for example the clutch paddles are too light for you, now I guess you have all the details you need to find a replacement string. Cool. I don't really think there's much more to look at with the paddles. So let's move to the next step. Okay, so now let's look at the rest of the wheel. What you'll notice straight away is this large aluminium construction here in the middle. So this is like the core structural component of the wheel from the looks of it. So we have this full aluminium piece that kind of looks like a spider. So going forward, I refer to it as a spider. So we have this whole aluminium construction, and then the carbon fiber front plate. So this is so these two components basically are responsible for the stiffness of the wheel, which it seems to be doing a pretty good job, to be honest, from the looks of it. Another thing to notice here is that when I was removing the back cover, I took off 10 separate screws, and 6 of them were connected directly to the spider. So we see the threaded holes here, 1, 2, 3 on both sides, so that's 6 in total. Then in the corners we have another threaded heat inserts for the top screws, and then the middle ones next to the grips, they just screw in directly into the plastic, so there's no thread in there. Okay, in order to remove the spider, we have to flip the wheel and take off the screws on the front of the wheel. So again, we have 6 screws here. So we have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, and the same 3 on the other side. So let me take them out right now. Cool, so all the 6 screws are off. Now, actually, I forgot one thing, so please be careful when you do that. Because what you'll have to notice here is that we have these wires coming out from the rotary encoders that are connected, again using the JST connectors to the PCB, but you'll notice that the wire goes on top of the spider. So if we were to just take out the spider right now, it could potentially damage the wires. So please make sure, if you ever were to take it into pieces, just remove the wires first, and just let's put them on the side, and we do the same thing for the other one. And now we're good to go to remove the spider. So let's just do it carefully. Okay, and it goes out. Now again, it has to be done very carefully, because here we have the 8-pin JST connector that connects the PS2 plug from the quick release. So I'll just carefully, sorry, I don't know how to show it on the camera, but I mean, you've seen how to unplug a JST connector. So okay, doke. Right, so that's out. And here we have 8-pin JST connector. So let's check. I think this is a 2.0, but let's check it out. So no, I'm terribly wrong. It's actually 2.5. So yeah, standard JST 2.5 millimeters. Brilliant. I mean, I really like the fact that so far, literally everything can be bought as a replacement from eBay, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so what do we have in here? This is, I mean, again, this is not a CNC aluminium, but fine, this is the internal piece. Nobody cares how it looks like. It's nicely brushed on the outside, so actually I like the look of it. So the next step is to take off the quick release, Thrustmaster quick release. The PMT quick release is coming soon. Before I remove the screws, there's one very important note I have to tell you guys about, because I did disassemble it before making this video, and these screws that are holding the quick release are like glued all over the place. There's so much glue on these, like a Loctite or something. I don't know what it is, but basically these hold extremely well. So one of my friends who got the SF1000 steering wheel before I did, he actually tried to force unscrew these, and he broke one of these screws. Yeah, so they basically it just fell apart. And that's quite risky. If you were to disassemble it, you don't really want that to happen to you. So the best way to deal with that is to take a soldering iron. I heated myself to 400 degrees Celsius. This is the maximum this can handle. And I held it inside the screw for around 6 minutes, as far as I remember, 5 or 6 minutes, something like that. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, 400 degrees for such a long period of time on the plastic, well, won't that damage it? Well, no, because this whole piece is aluminium, so it basically works as a huge radiator, right? So it dissipates heat very, very quickly. And it took me, I was checking it in and out whether I can move the screw, and I could loosen the screws after hitting it for around 6 minutes from what I remember. But right now it should go easier because the glue is already removed. So yeah, as expected, it goes very nicely off right now. But like I said, don't force it when you do it for the first time, because there's a high probability of damaging these screws. So now I removed all the free screws, and I can just, oh, not that easy. Oh, okay, it's out. So if you look at this, it's basically the same standard quick release piece that Thrustmaster is using in literally every single add-on wheel. Well, maybe apart from F1 and some of the other wheels, but like 90% of Thrustmaster wheels use exactly the same components. So yeah, that's nice, especially for me when designing the quick release. As for the spider, there's not much else to look at here, really. Yeah, I think that's it. Can't see anything worth noticing here. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take the wheel apart further. So now I want to look at these rotary encoders that I like so much. I really hope there's some marking on them, because I want to buy some of these for my DIY projects. So you will notice there is the mounting solution is very straightforward. We have the encoder fit into like a plastic shaped exactly like the bottom part of the encoder, and there's the screw holding it on the side. It's literally the same way of holding the rotary encoder as I did with one of my mods. So let's take some pliers and try to loosen it up. I don't know how well that will go. Alright, okay. So now, yeah, the encoder is out. So what do we've got in here? I mean, there's no branding on it, nothing at all. If you guys recognize what brand it is and where I could get some, please let me know in the comments, because I really am going to get quite a few of these. Like I said, they're really, really nice. Even from the video you can see that this is a pretty nice, clicky rotary encoder. It's really brilliant. Okay, so what's next? Well, now we could maybe remove the bottom PCB. So I mean, there's another there's another 6-pin JST connector here, connecting the bottom and the top PCB. So let's just unplug it. And now we have 4 screws holding the PCB. So let's take the handy screwdriver and take them off. Okay, so time to take off the piece. No, it won't. Oh yeah, yeah, of course it won't come off, because it's a PCB for all of these rotary switches, and we have the caps on top of them, so we have to remove these first. So let's take off the Ferrari. This goes very easily off, so that's nice. Now for the smaller ones, this is gonna be tricky. First try, I'm gonna use my Nectar card. So okay, that worked. So yeah, I'll look into these in a second. Let's just remove them. Oh, this one really doesn't want to come off. There you go. Cool. So let's look at these cups here. Plastic. Literally nothing interesting. The Ferrari one, the front one. This has the centerpiece pushed in, so I guess it could be removed, but I won't be doing that. There's no point. Yeah. All right. So the PCB. Let's just see if that comes out right now. Still doesn't want to come out. Oh yeah, oh okay, fine. One thing I forgot again, so I need to remove the screw around the switch that turns off the screen. So let's just use the pliers. Okay, so will I be able to remove the PCB finally? Oh yeah, hooray. Okay. So what do we have in here? First of all, we have these chips. I'll take, I don't know if you can see it on camera at all, so I'll take detailed pictures again, in case you would be interested in seeing these in detail. Then we have tactile switches, but you will notice that these are sealed with like silicone. I haven't seen these really, but I'm sure they're widely available as well. I just never got one of these. Yeah, and they sound much nicer than the standard cheap tactile switches. So I think they're pretty good from the looks of it and from the sound of it. Then we have pretty standard switch, toggle switch. Sorry. What is it? Yeah, 2 amp, 250 volt. Yeah, that's a standard toggle switch, nothing special there. Here, that's quite interesting because these are not rotary encoders, even though they work as ones. These are 12 position switches, all these silver ones here. So these are 12 position switches. Funny enough though, Thrustmaster doesn't use them Thrustmaster doesn't use them to report 12 positions. These bottom two are treated as rotary encoders, and these three just control screen settings, so they just loop through different settings. And again, I think I've seen these switches somewhere. Not sure if I saw the exactly the same model, but they look similar. Yeah, and they also have the push button function, so that's yeah, maybe these are actually encoders. I don't know. I'll need to actually, if you look at it, it does say encoder 0, the number of the encoders. So maybe I was wrong. Wait a second. I don't really know if you can see it, but underneath this metal piece, there is like a green plastic that seems to be a standard rotary encoder. So I really have no idea what they did here. It's very interesting. Oh, here you can see it very well. Yeah, so there's this green piece, looks like the standard rotary encoders, and it also even has the same 4 pins. Interesting. Very, very interesting. What did Thrustmaster do this? What did Thrustmaster do here? So, if you guys know where these, 12 position switches or rotary encoders, I don't know what these really are. But if you know the model, please share it in the comments. I would really be interested to know what these are. Now I know exactly what this one is though, and this one in the middle. This is actually used to change the function of the clutch paddles, so you can change them as to be like two separate axes, as a clutch paddles reporting both on the same axis, etc. So there's like 4 settings. There's like 4 settings for the clutch paddles, and this is a 4-position switch. And I actually have one of those, so I know exactly what this one is, and that this definitely is very common, and I've seen loads of them on AliExpress, etc. So, I mean, I'm not good at electronics, but I wonder why do they have all these pads here for capacitors, but they don't have any soldered on. Okay, maybe that's some kind of a different design. Interesting, isn't it? Anyways, on the back there is nothing interesting, so yeah, that's that. Okay, so now I guess we will take off the top PCB. Again, 4 screws to take out, so let's do that. One thing to watch out for before removing this PCB is that the joystick that is on this side here, that's the joystick. Again, we have another. This one is a 2mm JST connector, so this needs to be unplugged. Oh, okay. Oops. Oh yeah, I forgot. You also see the ribbon cable in here. So it, again, another thing to be very gently removed, because ribbon cables tend to be very fragile. So yeah, that's something to watch out for. So what I need to do is just move this lever off, and I can then take out the ribbon. Okay. So before I look into the main PCB, let's look what else is in here. So there we see the LCD, but we still have this plastic piece on top of it. I won't be removing this rotary encoder, it's fine. One thing you'll notice is that there are springs inside the button. So this is why when I was saying that they require pretty strong push, because these springs looks pretty beefy, so that's why they generate quite a lot of force. Yeah, but nothing wobbles really. It's very, very impressive build, I have to say. And obviously this pin here in the middle pushes on the tactile switches, and that's how the whole thing works. So now the question is, how do we take it apart further? Oh, actually, yeah, before I go there, see, these are the LEDs. So the LEDs used in this wheel are not like the full size individual LEDs. They are tiny ones, just SMD soldered on the PCB. So these are just like plastic pieces that are pushed into the front of the wheel. So yeah, that's quite interesting. We have another 3 on the other side, and then we have the main set, which is slightly curved. That gives it a pretty cool look, in my opinion. Alright, so what we have to do right now is remove this plastic from here. Now we have 2 screws in the corners, so let's remove these first. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't come off yet, So let's turn the wheel, and we still have the two holding the large buttons here and here. So let's take them out. Okay. So can we take out the back plastic yet? Yep, it goes out. Yeah, just have to watch out for the joystick cable, and that is out. So we are left with the carbon fiber and the handles. So while I'm at it, let's just remove the handles, I guess. Okay, so the back pieces of the handles are off, and now we have another two screws on each side holding the front pieces of the grips. So yeah, so let's remove these as well. Okay, so okay, so now these are out, and these are out. Cool, so the large buttons come off separately, and we're left with the carbon fiber piece. As we have it off, let's check the exact thickness. So it is 3.1. Sorry, 3.1 in here as well. Yeah, seems to be 3.1 millimeters. So that's pretty decent, I guess. I mean, there's quite a lot of custom wheels that the only main plate is 3 millimeters, and this one still has the spider, so that explains the rigidity of it. Now, what do we see? So what's interesting in the carbon fiber? So first of all, you'll notice that it is CNC'd here for the LEDs, right? You see it nicely there. The chamfers are very nice and clean as well. This is definitely a good job done there. On the other side, we see again a CNC'd recess for the screen. So here this piece is much thinner, I think. It's like 1 millimeter off or something. Another thing interesting is how the buttons hold in place, because what you notice though is that this is probably the first Thrustmaster wheel that I ever took apart when the push buttons didn't just fall out. And these really just hold in place, they don't move anywhere. What you will notice here, okay, so let's just get the right lighting on it. Yeah, so you see that the outer cover of the button, so I'm talking about this this plastic piece around here, so it's pushed in, so it really doesn't go anywhere. It has these tabs on the side, so that holds them in place. And now another interesting thing, which I mentioned during my review, is that these buttons don't move around. So they basically, you can't turn them 180 degrees or something. Yeah, and this is because, look at it here. There are these tiny tabs here on the edges of the button itself. Yeah, so I mean, if I push it out, it will move, but while it's in, you see, it won't turn. It's really well thought through. They definitely focus on the fact that the faces of the push buttons should not, it shouldn't be possible to move them around. And that's brilliant that somebody actually did spend some time thinking it through. Or maybe not, maybe that's like a widely available solution that I just never seen before. And then we have Thrustmaster joystick. So this is the same as I've seen in every single add-on wheel. I don't really want to take it apart because yeah, there's a spring, everything falls. Yeah, I did it once. I don't really want to repeat that. But there's nothing special with this joystick. It's super bulky, and I mean, the nice thing though is that it has this. Nice thing about it though is that it has this spring, so that's why it feels much nicer than the other like tactile switch based joysticks available on the market. And yeah, I think that's it. I can't really think anything else that I could tell you about it. Maybe let's look at these stickers. Yeah, so the stickers, obviously I don't want to damage the wheel, but the stickers are directly put onto the carbon. So potentially they could be replaced if you damage them and if you are able to purchase replacement stickers. Definitely that would be easy to do. If we look at the individual buttons, these have the stickers on them as well. So these are standard stickers, and there's a slight recess there, so you can't just simply peel off the stickers. So again, well thought through, not easy to damage these. Really impressed about the approach. Now let's just very quickly look at the large P and N buttons. So, these filled out separately. But it's not a big deal. I mean, there's only two of them. One thing that's different compared to all the other buttons is that these, I don't know if they're painted over the, seems like they're painted over the sticker. So these stickers cannot be replaced from the looks of it. I mean, not if you don't want to damage the button cap. Now let's look at the grips. So if you watched my video review, sort of, more like complaints on the wheel, I mentioned that these feel pretty cheap and very plasticky. And well, now I know why they feel so. So if I take it apart, look at it. It's plastic. It's just a plastic mold. And there's a thin layer of like a rubberized paint on it, and that's it. That's literally it. It's just a very, very thin layer. Actually, no, it's not that thin. Sorry. Let me show you that up close. So yeah, my fault. I didn't check it well first. So it's not a thin layer of paint. It's actually rubber. So the rubber goes as far as here. Can it focus? We have around 1.5 millimeters of a rubber glued on outside this plastic mold. So here's your answer why these grips are not particularly comfortable. Yeah, was that the best call? I'll leave it to you guys to decide. The front piece of the grip is exactly the same. The only thing is that it also includes this cover for the large P and N buttons. Yeah, and again, oopsie, and again, same thing. If you notice here, there are these grooves on top and bottom on the cap of the cap. Sorry, and then we have tiny pieces here that basically prevent these from moving around. Yeah, so you see it here, and it just can't be moved, stays in place. Very nice, well thought through. Next thing is probably the main star of this steering wheel, which is the screen. and I am not able to take it off without the risk of damaging it, because when I look closely, I won't be able to show it probably, but here, yeah, it might just see it. There's loads of double-sided tape underneath the screen, so there's a big risk I would damage it if I were to remove it. What you'll notice though is that if you were ever searching for a 5-inch LCD screen for like a Raspberry Pi or something on AliExpress, this looks almost identical. So this is definitely not like a high-class screen. It's probably something very basic. I did a quick look on AliExpress. I couldn't find the one that would have exactly the same ribbon cable on the back of it. So I have no idea if it's like an off-the-shelf product or it's actually customized for Thrustmaster. There's definitely no branding here, nothing that would give us any clues on what is it exactly. Pardon the fingerprints. Then we have the push buttons. Right, so as I mentioned before, we have the springs on the back of the push buttons, and then on the front we have these like middle caps, so to say. So the core cap with the sticker on it goes on top, and this is held in place. Do I want to remove it? No, because I'm sure the springs would just go flying, and I mean, it's quite clear of what's going on in here. Pretty obvious how they solved it. And I have to say, I really like the way they did it. It's an awesome solution. First time I see something like this. I don't know if it's a common way of dealing with the push buttons on other products, or maybe other. I have no idea how, for example, Fanatec is doing it, but I really like this. It's just a great job. Yeah, really awesome job, and it feels great. And also, when you disassemble it, nothing falls apart. So that's very practical as well. So now it's time for what I think is the last piece of the wheel disassembly, which is the top PCB. As you can see, we have a huge shield on the main MCU that's inside there. What we have here as well are the LEDs. So these LEDs are, like I mentioned before, these are just SMD soldered. I don't know if you guys can see exactly what kind of LEDs these are, but I'm assuming they're pretty standard. So again, probably fairly easy to replace, to buy replacements and fix your wheel in case one of them would get damaged. What else? On the other side, we have the USB-C connector, which probably is going to be used for software updates. What we also see here are these tabs here. So these are for the ground. So they push on the aluminium spider, and that gets grounded to the wheelbase. That's a very neat solution. But you can see that also it looks like a Swiss cheese. There's so many vias here all over the place. I wonder what's the purpose of that. But anyways, it's really heavily grounded. You see the pads are on both sides. On top we have Bluetooth. I think, yeah, ESP12F. Again, pretty standard one. Don't know about this particular PCB, whether that's fairly standard as well or not. But again, something gets damaged. These are really off-the-shelf components, which is really good. I mean, it's actually brilliant. The ease of repairing this wheel is just amazing. You can replace every single thing. So what else do we have here? What are the chips? Again, I'll put some detailed pictures. Now, do we want to remove the shield and see what's inside? Yeah, we do. Of course we do. That's, I mean, worst case scenario, I'll just damage a 330 pounds wheel. Okay, so I don't know if I'm doing it right or not. Probably some of you will start screaming that I'll damage the electronics, but well, YOLO, right? Okay. Oops. Alright, that was pretty easy. So the shield is off, and can you guess what's underneath it? Ta-da! STM32. What do you know, right? So yeah, I was actually expecting that, but it's quite interesting, isn't it? Standard STM32. I mean, don't know what else they're doing around here. Again, I'll put detailed pictures. STM32L4R7 from ARM. Nice, nice, isn't it? Interesting. Cool, so it's time for some conclusions then. First of all, I mean, I absolutely love it that almost like 90% of the components can be easily replaced and fixed. So any damage at all that happens to this wheel, you know, with a soldering iron, you can fix it on your own, which is great. I mean, I love the fact that it made it so easy to repair. Another thing is that I put it apart, but there's nothing, no sticker nor anything, so I didn't void the warranty. I mean, obviously, if they figure out that you know, if I was the ones, if I was to send it back for some reason and then they saw my video, then yeah, probably they wouldn't accept it. But yeah, there's nothing really. There's nothing that would void the warranty after removing it. At least I didn't notice anything. And now for some big conclusions. So I had my hands on around 6 different Thrustmaster wheels, and not a single one of them had even remotely as much shielding and grounding across all of its components. So we have the massive shield on the STM32. Yeah, we have these very large ground pads, which in previous wheels they were just a single little cable. Here, there's you know, like different parts of the PCB are being grounded individually. We have even this switch, this toggle switch, seems to be extra grounded. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's just there to hold it in place. But realistically, no, they didn't need to do that. You can hold it with just the free, so this one with the free pads here, solder pads to hold it in place. It would hold just fine, especially that you lock it with a nut from the front of the wheel. So, what does it mean? Well, let me add another comment. Remember when I was saying that these screws were extremely heavily glued to hold the quick release very strongly, yeah? What can that mean? Well, I know for a fact that Thrustmaster is working on a direct drive wheel for quite a while. And after Fanatec introduced their very budget-friendly direct drive wheel option, not yet available on the market, but I don't believe any of us think that Thrustmaster would just stay away from the direct drive game. And that means, in my opinion, that this wheel, SF1000, will be compatible with Thrustmaster's new direct drive wheel. I can't be certain because I don't know the details about the DD that TM is working on. But from the looks of it, I mean, there's no need for so much shielding if you don't have a huge motor emitting a lot of EMI right next to the steering wheel. So I don't know, but I strongly believe that is the case, guys. I strongly believe that a DD from Thrustmaster will finally be introduced pretty soon. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that STM32 is a fairly common chip, and so somebody really smart could potentially hack this wheel to make it work via USB. But yeah, obviously that's just a theory. I'm completely unable to do something like this, but well, it's worth keeping the hopes high. Anyways, that's it, guys. I really don't know if I missed anything on this wheel. I literally took it into pieces. But if you have any questions at all, please put them into the comments. Also, I would appreciate it very much if you guys consider subscribing. And last thing is that the next project I'm working on is the quick release for this wheel, so it will be very soon available on the Capital store. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching and have a great rest of the day. Bye!